5 days after the fighting began, the Ukrainian and Russian delegates came face to face in Belarus. Ukraine wants an immediate ceasefire and complete foreign troop withdrawal from its territory. But Russia says a deal is only possible if Ukraine is demilitarised and Russian control over annexed Crimea is formally recognised.
I can say that every hour of conflict brings new casualties among Ukrainian soldiers. We are definitely interested in reaching any agreements as soon as possible. But those agreements should be for the benefit of both sides.
At the same time the delegates were talking, Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv, came under intense bombardment. The Ukrainian Interior Ministry says dozens of people were killed by the rockets and hundreds more wounded. The violence follows a weekend of intense fighting in the city where Ukrainian troops repelled a Russian incursion. This followed the shelling of the northern city of Chernihiv on Sunday night. The Ukrainian Emergency Ministry says a residential building, a market and a kindergarten was struck. An oil depot near the capital Kiev was also attacked. It's not far from an airfield where local authorities say there has been intense fighting.
The explosion was huge. The illumination was enormous. My wife and mother-in-law were shaken up and glass was blown out from windows.
In Kiev, residents emerged from a weekend-long curfew. Many had been taking refuge in basements and underground train stations. They're using Monday to buy groceries and supplies while they can.
I spent 2 days in metro station. Well, people are trying to support each other, some food or some, phone or charge or anything you need for your life here underground. People are very trying to be positive.
But a satellite image shows a 5-kilometre-long convoy of Russian tanks and military hardware to the north of Kiev, a likely indication of plans for a ground assault on the city. Such formations are exposed to air attacks. The Ukraine military says this footage captured one of its drones destroying Russian vehicles. With the help of everyday citizens who've taken up arms, the Ukrainian military has been slowing Moscow's advance. But the Russian troops are gaining ground. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has appealed to them to desert their posts and lay down their arms. He also had this request of Europe.
We ask the European Union to admit Ukraine as a member immediately. We are grateful to the partners who stand with us, but our goal is to be equal with all Europeans. I'm sure that's fair. I am sure we deserve it. I am sure it is possible.
But the EU was non-committal.
Today is not in the agenda, believe me. We have to do for more practical things. Membership is something that will late, in any case, a lot of years. We have to provide an answer for the coming hours, not for the coming years, the coming hours.
On Monday, the financial squeeze caused by Western sanctions started impacting Russian citizens. The value of the ruble sunk to an all-time low against the US dollar, and Russia's central bank more than doubled its interest rate to 20%.
Our economic situation will get a lot worse. It's inevitable in these circumstances, but it's still not comparable with the losses of those who are dying in the conflict.
But Russia says it can withstand the financial pressure and convened a meeting between the president and his top officials.
I've gathered you to speak about the economic issues, bearing in mind the sanctions that the so-called Western community, or as I called it in my speech, the Empire of Lies, is now trying to implement against our country.
Over the weekend, the EU, US and their allies announced more humanitarian and military aid for Ukraine. On Monday, planes left Greece and the Netherlands, among other things, carrying rifles and missile launchers as well as food. Western leaders are promising more weapons and more sanctions over the coming days. Sarah Morice, TRT World.